So, one last time. The jailer is the key. Kill her, and you will be free.
This is part 9 in a series of videos on the game Furi. One last walking section, one last boss fight, one last cutscene. And she took the easy way out. I guess we're free. Right. This is a long walking section, lots of time to reflect on the music, which is fine. It's a wave shaper track, so it's pretty good. I haven't been doing my full responsibility to mention the artists as we go, and I apologize. It's just after part 2, I felt nervous trying to talk about the music again. The voice explains the situation. Despite the 4 previous Guardians having a greater claim to being the final boss, this chick slid into the spot on account of desiring to be the last stand. He also says some less than kind things about her.
It's Guardians like her that make me hate this place. Why did they let her join? How many were they prepared to sacrifice? She's an overconfident, idealistic child who dreamed she could save the world. Let me be the last wave. I will stand when the rest have fallen. She's an amateur, short-sighted, plain stupid if you ask me.
Let's get the track record for female representation in this game. One was a wild animal that tore everything inside apart. The next used her sexuality as a bargaining chip to try and appease a conquering man. The next was childish and treated imminent genocide as the failure state of a game. And now we have an actual child who foolishly thinks she can stand up to this threat. Man, French artists are just the best for slipping in sly disses. The best way to hide these problematic depictions of women is behind gameplay. Who knew? That's why there haven't been any articles about sexism in Furi. None of the usual suspects got far enough into the game to find it. Well, don't worry, I haven't spilled the secret. No woman could watch upwards of 2 hours of my videos. So, what does the beat have going for her? Platforming. Now, I will admit it was smart of you to try and exploit my weakness, but it's gonna take more than a shitty platforming section to stop me. This platforming does suck. The sides will pull your dodges over the edge. So often I was losing a ton of health just because I couldn't accurately gauge where I was going to dodge to. And given the presence of projectiles and even waves on Furi, yeah, fuck you too, game devs. I don't mind dodging these waves, you know, practicing a little patience instead of just smashing that dodge button, but putting me in a position between taking a hit and dodging off the edge, yeah, let's put a moratorium on this shit and move on to the fight itself. The beat is a really no challenge. She kinda relies on you losing a ton of health in the prior platforming sections, so if you do well, there's not a chance you can lose. In fact, I don't think I've ever been forced into restarting this fight on any difficulty. She uses a ton of wave attacks at the same time to try and trip you up. But it's such a basic pattern. As long as you're patient enough, you can't fail.
And there's something in there that is meant to stop you for good.
Ooh, show me. Phase 2 down. The turrets use beams and waves at the same time on Furi. Really had to save this for the final fight, huh? The final taste before I judge this game? Whatever. So she darts ahead, and as we try to catch up, she flips a switch. This is obviously alarming, so we hurry up ahead, but not before. You call that a last resort? Please. I've been plowed by more big lasers on just this playthrough than years you've been alive, kid. So where's the real last resort?
Stop! You can't go out there. Don't you understand? If you our world withers and dies. For the end.
This is it then, huh? Your heroic last stand, pleading to me to stop inches from my freedom. Well, I'll be honest, I kind of feel a little bad for her. Bad enough that I boosted and used a charge slash just so I put her through as little pain as possible.
Please, hold my hand.
Be gone, thought! He's a thought!
The Thought Patrol can read their mind.
Man, after getting all these video clips, I don't even remember what the point of this joke was. Handholding is a bit lewd, but to be fair, if the situation were reversed, if little virgin me was bleeding out impaled on a sword against a Rule 63 chat adverse.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, not to devalue the impact of this scene or anything. To give you context, if the edge was the peak of the mountain metaphor, the beat is the walk down when you realize that it's also going to be downhill in your life as well.
This is it, my friend. It's been hard, I know. But she was the last. Finally, going through that door. It's everything we have been fighting for. You are not who you were when you first landed out there. We all have choices to make. We all have to decide what's worth fighting for.
This is it. This moment has punch. This is what the player has been waiting for, and after the curb stomp that was humanity's last stand, all we get is 25 feet of space and a proper use of no music. All that's left is to walk through that gate. I want to emphasize, I had to sit through this credit sequence 4 times just to make this video series. I mean, that is my own self-inflicted torture, right? I was the one who was curious enough to see how Promenade playthrough would pan out, and I paid the price in disappointment. Although all Promenade gets is a reminder to go try playing it on a real difficulty. Well, this is my final recommendation to play Furi. If spoiling most of the game for you wasn't enough to convince you, I will say this. There is one thing I will not show, and that is the message at the end of the credits on the Furi or difficulty. You're gonna have to earn that. Or go watch somebody else's Furi or playthrough, they probably showed it. Bastards. So, after the credits sequence, the game opens up, and nothing. No forced camera angles, you can freely pan the camera, you have a wide range of places you can go, you can even run. You are free. But really, it's just another prison. There isn't anything to do here, except, obviously, destroy everything with our corruption. I do like the effect. If you've been with me since part 1, I said in the very beginning of on the walking sections.
Believe me, what's waiting at the end of all this is so worth the trouble.
I've also been mentioning the walking sections at least once per video, just as a reminder. Well, it's time to finally make that pay off. The entire game, while you've been locked in the prison, you've been forced to walk. You've been forced to use fixed camera angles, which, by the way, I appreciate the effort of whoever placed all the camera angles and spots off the beaten path. And you've had the option to auto-walk. Now that you're free, you are, indeed, free. Those shackles are lifted. The main menu even refers to this level simply as free. It's an amazing example of mechanical storytelling. So when people complain about the walking segments, I have to bite my lip and not explain why they're alright. Because it kind of spoils the game. It's the journey and the realization that sell this moment for me. It's annoying for repeat playthroughs, yes, and I wish the developers had the foresight to at least make them optional after you had beat Furi the first time. But they have a purpose. They are more than just artsy camera angles for some wannabe Hollywood compositional artist. Some people have said that the walking segments are to pad out the runtime, so by the time you beat the game, you can't refund it on Steam. That is only the case if you go into Furi knowing how to beat it, in which case, yeah, you can beat it under 2 hours, but your first time through is going to take much longer due to repeat attempts on bosses. What the walking segments are intended for is to give the player a break in between boss battles, to give the writers a chance to insert some exposition, and to give the musicians a chance to do something other than just battle music. I think it would have undermined one of the key design choices of Furi, to focus on making fights personal, to populate levels with goons to kill between bosses just for the sake of appeasing these people. That said, I'm not advocating every game do it. No. Only do it if it fits into your core design and actually fits. The last thing games need is more walking. And that's Furi. So to wrap up my thoughts... Oh.
So now you know. Maybe you think I'm insane, or maybe you understand. You were my only chance. I hoped it would change you. I think it did. It doesn't really matter. What does matter is what you are going to do.